Am I the a-hole for not sharing a bank account? I, 29 female, have been with my fiancé, 30 male, who we'll call Dave, for 10 years, and we are supposed to get married in the fall. We don't currently live together, and last week we met with a financial advisor. I've been working with him for 6 years personally, and my fiancé has never spoken to anyone about finances, so I picked him, as I trust him already, to talk about combining assets as we plan on completely sharing finances. I was worried I'd be bringing very little to the table. I finished my specialized training last year, so I've either been a full-time student with no actual income or making a very small salary that hardly covered my bills since high school. I basically have my card minimal savings, but I have paid off all my debt. I currently make about 75% of Dave's income. Dave's been working for the last 6 years in a very well-paying job, so I figured he'd have more assets. His finances were so terrible my advisor actually called to speak to me after our meeting to tell me to keep my finances separate from Dave's. The reason is that Dave is essentially supporting 7 other adults, his parents and 5 siblings. 4 are adults. His parents had 7 kids and can't support them in one minimum wage income. They had a lot of government aid, but now that the kids are adults, that stopped. I knew Dave helped out when his siblings were younger. I thought it was admirable that he was willing to help ensure his siblings had a decent home to live in. But now that they've all grown, I don't agree with continuing to help like he is. And honestly, now seeing what he actually paid, I think it's always been way too much. In the last 3 months, he spent over $15,000 on them for things like repairing the roof, putting in an AC unit. AC is not standard or necessary where we live. Heat is. And then paying for them to run it, etc. I'm floored. I told him I wasn't comfortable sharing bank accounts anymore. I tried being diplomatic, but instead it turned into a fight. He was angry that I don't want to help those in need, only my family. I gave my brother all my savings, $5,000 last year when he fell in hard times, but he's paid me back almost $3,000. I wouldn't mind helping his family occasionally, or if they used the help to try to turn things around. My family can give and take. I gave my brother money because I knew he was going to put it to good use. Dave's family just takes, spends, and asks for more. I'm worried if we share accounts, then Dave will start giving my money away too. I told him the only way I can see this working is that we keep things separate. We split bills equally and control our own spending money, though I worry how this would work with kids. But I just don't want our family to suffer for his family's mistakes. Dave is calling me the a-hole, as his family and some friends. Dave went around telling our friends about how I'm a hypocrite and don't trust him. Now for the top comments before reading the update. Not the a-hole. And if your financial advisor went so far as to warn you, I'd take his advice. Fiancé calling you the a-hole and bad-mouthing you to others is so very not okay. If that is how he acts about this, what happens when you have other big disagreements, like buying a house, having kids, how to raise them? Don't tie your finances to his, obviously, and get a prenup even if you go through with this. Oh, OP, not the a-hole. But you need to lay down an ultimatum. You can't marry this guy unless he gets on the same page with you. You can't even share a life with him if he's spending $5,000 a month on a bunch of deadbeats adults, and won't even hear forcing them to move forward with their own lives. This will be the rest of your life, with him and his family insulting you for every rational choice you make. God forbid you have children. Get out of this relationship. You still have time to find someone great and have the life you want with them. Not the a-hole. I'd suggest you reevaluate everything in the relationship. His family is now full of adults, and all he's doing is enabling them to be leeches. They're calling you names because you just burst their bubble. Not the a-hole. You're not being an a-hole. You're being smart. Don't let anyone convince you otherwise. Edit. I was gonna refrain from commenting on your relationship, but together for 10 years but not living together? Him expecting you to make your money available to his family. His behavior towards you when you're just trying to protect yourself. Maybe there's another decision you need to be smart about. Not everyone lives together before marriage. Even if it takes 10 years to get married. We were very young when we first got together anyways. We've had our reasons, including long distance for a few years due to my schooling. That's really not an issue at all. I do agree that his behavior about this issue is a huge concern, and I'm considering walking away from him. It's out of character for him, or maybe he's just gotten so good at hiding it. I don't know. Now for the update. Thank you for all the support and advice, everyone. It is appreciated. Dave ended up seeing this post. and it forced my hand a little earlier than I was prepared for. But we talked/argued, but ultimately we're done. He admitted to hiding this from me because he knew I'd be upset and want him to go back to counseling. I didn't realize he stopped therapy last year. He never said he was still going, but he did imply it a number of times and admitted to hiding that too. He has a lot of baggage. His parents did serious damage to him, and while he really has done an amazing job of getting out of that situation and breaking the cycle, he's got a lot of baggage. And unfortunately, that baggage is not something I'm willing to carry because I just can't trust him anymore after his massive lie. He feels responsible for his siblings struggling so much, and while he hasn't said it, I think he wants his parents' approval too. He knows it's not healthy what he's doing, but he also admitted that he doesn't really want to stop, because again, he feels like he owes it to help his family since he's the only one who's done well. He doesn't think a family needs a big house, an apartment is fine, or that kids need extra activities like piano or dance lessons. He thinks we would be fine basically living off my salary. And we would, but it won't be the life I want. And I don't think I'll ever trust him again. And I don't want that kind of marriage. It breaks my heart, but I need to leave for my own sanity. Next story. Am I the a-hole for not letting my roommate's new girlfriend in my home? I, 23 male, live with my roommate, 21 male, and we get along great. Hardly ever an argument. About a year ago, I broke up with my ex, 20 female, because I had finally caught her cheating on me. We had a year-long relationship, full of emotional and mental mistreatment from her. It took a lot of courage to finally accept she isn't the one and to break off all communication. I really loved her, but I have finally let her go and moved on. My roommate was a huge help in supporting me to get over her. Then about a month ago, it came to my attention that my roommate was texting my ex as friends. This didn't bother me, because it really doesn't have anything to do with me. Had I not seen the text, I never would have known. Within the last week or so, it has come to my attention that they're looking for a relationship together. This in itself doesn't bother me, as they are both adults and I have no place in this decision. The part that bothers me is the fact that she would be coming to our house regularly to hang out with him and spend the night. My roommate knows I spent a year being mentally taken advantage of and cheated on, and another 6 months to finally get over it and become mentally healthy again. I was depressed for so long just thinking about her. Still, I decided to see how things would go. She came by the other day, and it was as awkward and hostile as I could expect. She was asking demeaning questions and saying rude comments like, "I see your room is still a crap hole," and "It's really taking you this long to find a new girlfriend? When are you going to get over me?" And "I'm sure your roommates will be much better." Of course, these are things I can ignore. However, I don't think I should have to put up with that. I could barely handle the hour she was here, let alone the foreseeable future. My roommate never spoke up against her, despite her rude comments. He knows what she did to me and what she's now doing, but for lack of a better term, he's pee-whipped in my opinion. I had a talk with him yesterday and told him he can either move out and have a relationship with my ex, or he can stay here and promise to never bring her into the house. I told him that since I'm the sole homeowner, he needs to respect my rules, and while I hate to limit his stay here, I do not trust her in my home, and I won't put up with her mind games. He told me it's just because I'm jealous, and now there's a rift that I can't say we have ever had before. I made it clear he's more than allowed to have a relationship with her. She is simply not allowed in my home. Am I the a-hole? Not the a-hole. This dude knows the hell she put you through and still wants to date her? I need to know nothing else about his character to know you'll be better off if he moves out. And she may well be dating the roommate simply to needle Opie. She sounds like the type, and her behavior is certainly in line. I have a feeling that if roommate moves out of Opie's house, the ex is going to drop him quick. He'd be of no more use to her. Not the a-hole. But your roommate choosing to date someone who totally screwed you over definitely makes him the a-hole if he expects you to just put up with it. It's easier for him to blame it on your jealousy instead of admitting that he's dating a giant red flag of a woman. Definitely not the a-hole. I think you made some good boundaries, and if he loves her so much, he can spend time with her at her place. Honestly, ditch the roommate. He is dumb enough to not realize he's being used as a tool for deliberately trying to hurt Opie. Title: Yes, of course you... Story? Holy crap. Never mind. No, dude. You're absolutely not an a-hole. This is a vicious, horrible person, and you're well within your rights to ban her from your one safe space. Now for the next story. Am I the a-hole for walking out of my sister's birthday gathering after she announced her engagement? Me and my sister lost our mom since we were kids, and my dad married a single mom who had a son 2 years older than me. Our stepbrother was nasty, selfish, and used to take my things and ruin them under the guise of borrowing. He bullied me especially because of how weak and thin I was. I was dealing with health problems, still am. He even got to my school friends and turned them against me by spreading lies and rumors. We were kids at the time, but I resented him and I still do. I cut contact with him after I moved away for college, but kept in touch with my younger sister, 21. We maintained a great sisterly bond, and because of that, I'd visit regularly since she's still living with my dad. Normally, my sister would tell me secrets, but no longer does. But I figured it's because of distance and me being busy with college. She used to tell me about her previous boyfriends, but not anymore. When I asked, she'd say she's on break. Then 2 weeks ago, I returned home to attend her 21st birthday party that was held at my parents' house. I saw my stepbrother there, which made me feel uncomfortable, and my sister was sitting next to him the entire time and were acting strange. Not like normal step-siblings, but I didn't put much attention to it. After she opened her gifts, she said she wanted to tell us something. She seemed very, very irritable and nervous. She talked about mom's death, stepmom's presence in our lives, and the situations we'd gone through. Then she asked my stepbrother to join her. Eddie stood next to her and held her hand as she lifted her other hand, saying she and my stepbrother just got engaged. I was dumbfounded, absolutely shocked. All I could hear was my stepmom and aunt yelling at them, calling them names. My sister defended herself, saying they were never siblings, and they needed to stop yelling, but stepmom didn't stop. I looked and saw my dad looking stunned, so I calmly got up, took my bag, and walked out immediately, leaving them yelling at each other. 2 hours later, my sister called crying, asking where I went and why I left when she needed my support and protection from that woman. She went on about how I should have defended her against the family, but I firmly told her it was none of my business and she needed to figure her own mess out. She kept crying, saying I wasn't a true sister, that she would have done a lot more if that was me. I told her I'd never think of getting together with my sister's tormentor, who's her stepbrother, much less announce our engagement. I hung up, and she didn't stop her guilting text about how I'm making this about me, and not considering what she really wants. She said I was being judgmental just like everyone else. I haven't talked to her since then. Now for the top comments. Not a-hole. And what the heck? That's disgusting in so many ways. Y'all were raised as siblings. I can maybe understand if someone's parents were married when they were adults and they hit it off with a step-parent's kid. Maybe. But this? This is absolutely disgusting. If they thought it was above board, then they would have been honest with everyone that they were dating from day one. They can't surprise everyone with an engagement and expect everything to be lovey-dovey. Not a-hole. Not a-hole. You actually did the right thing by leaving. And we're spot on telling her she has to figure out this mess. It's a true mess. I can't imagine how hurt you must feel. There's a reason she kept back from you. It is because she knew full well how hurtful her choice would be to you. She's delusional if she thinks your family will accept the relationship, so she needs to figure out if it's worth it to her. I'm sorry, you must be devastated. I'm getting flashbacks to watching Maury when I stayed home from school sick. This is, quite frankly, nuts. And you're wise to distance yourself from it. It's not your job to protect your sister from the inevitable consequences of her own bad decisions. Not least when she's choosing to marry your harasser. Not a-hole. Last story is titled, Am I the a-hole? My mom wants me to break up with my boyfriend after we found out that my stepsister loves him too. I, 17 female, have a boyfriend, Jake, 18. Jake and stepsister Bree, 18, have been best friends since they were little. When mom and stepdad got married, we moved to stepdad's hometown. I met my step-siblings' friends and over time joined their friend group. Jake and I became official 6 months ago. And since then, I started to see the changes in Bree's behavior. Always excluding me in our conversations, barging into my room when Jake and I hang out, and tagging along in our dates. I confronted her about it, but she called me an insecure witch. I told Jake about how Bree's behavior is making me feel, and he understood me. He and Bree had dinner together last Thursday. Jake told her about boundaries, that he wants to have some alone time with me as his girlfriend. Bree argued at first, then confessed that she loves Jake, and asked Jake to break up with me. She said they have been best friends for a long time, and that it's impossible for Jake to not have romantic feelings towards her. Jake set her straight and told her she only loves her as a friend. She left the restaurant crying and didn't come home. Slept at her grandparents' house. Jake told me all about what happened when he called me that night. I woke up Friday morning to my phone ringing. My friends have been texting and calling me. Turns out, Bree and her friends have posted rumors about me in social media. Defamatory posts such as calling me a home wrecker, AW, and that I have had multiple terminations. I haven't been with anyone, and the procedure is illegal in our country. They also posted photoshopped pictures of me. I told mom and stepdad about it, and they hurried to stepdad's parents' house to talk to Bree. Bree refused to talk to them or apologize to me. Stepdad's apologized for Bree's actions and said he'll make sure the posts are taken down. That's when mom told me to just break up with Jake so everything goes back to normal. I don't think breaking up with Jake will solve anything, but I feel conflicted as I don't want to ruin our blended family. Mom and stepdad love each other so much, and if I don't do anything, it might cause them to separate. So, am I the a-hole if I don't break up with Jake? Not the a-hole. Tell your mom to break up with her stepdad, so things go back to normal. I can never ask her to do that as I have seen how much they love each other. Before all these happened, our blended family was happy. Bree and I and Leo, stepbrother, have all gotten along well. Not the a-hole. Breaking up with him would actually set the precedent that Bree can do whatever she wants to get whatever she wants. Screw that. Stand up for yourself and your relationship. You did nothing wrong. Things will not go back to normal if you break up, because they were not normal to begin with. Breaking up for the sake of your sister would be rewarding some pretty crappy behavior on her part. Not the a-hole. Jake's like you. You like him. You didn't steal him from Bree. And being friends for most of their lives does not obligate people to be romantically involved. Your mother's take on this whole matter is pretty toxic, to be honest. Good on stepdad for stepping up. Glad you're getting some support and that Bree's getting help. I know, but I can't help to feel guilty. Especially now that Bree's grandparents are taking her side.
Am I the a-hole for ignoring my mom and refusing to make nice with my stepdad's son, who bullied me throughout our childhood? I was 21 when my mom and stepdad met. My stepdad's son, Harry, was 7. My mom and stepdad dated for 2.5 years before they got married, and we lived together for 9 months before their wedding. Harry hated his dad dating my mom, and he hated me for liking his dad. He was a real a-hole to me. My stepdad always corrected him and tried to keep him from hurting me, but I was miserable. I told my mom how miserable I was, and she told me it'd get better. When I said I didn't want to live with him anymore, she told me we had to because we were a family, and sometimes siblings don't get along the best, and it's okay for us to not be close. To name a few of the things I had to endure while living with Harry: he would spill water on or stain my homework, he broke a model I had finished for a class assignment, and he deleted assignments off the family computer when I finished them. He would shut doors on my feet or hands. He threw dirt at me, specifically my head. He called me a freak of nature all the time. When we went to my stepdad's family members' houses, he'd get his cousins to all gang up on and exclude me. A few of them were still nice to me, but he threatened to leave them out if they spent time with me. He broke my Christmas gifts one year, smashed or ruined them all, and he got into big trouble for that. But he still taunted me that I got nothing. In high school, a teacher we shared took both our classes on an educational field trip, and he tried to get me left behind and sprayed me with water to make it look like I peed my pants. Again, that's just a few things he did. He was open about hating me, and he'd ignore me sometimes just to make a point. Like one time, he hogged the salt because he saw I wanted it, and he refused to give it to me or answer when I asked for it, and he tried to stop my stepdad from giving it to me. Harry would always get his friends to taunt me too. One incident with all of them made me lose a tooth, and as upset and freaked out as my mom was, she still stayed with my stepdad and made me live with Harry. He took a gap year after high school, so I didn't even get the freedom of him leaving for college, and that was another hellish year. I had to do all my homework at friends' houses or the library in case he messed with it. I started pulling away from my mom at around 15, and she noticed and tried to be all loving and sweet to me, but I wasn't okay with her. When I started college, I moved out. I packed all my stuff and refused to go back home. Mom told me not to react like I was, and said Harry didn't even live with them full-time anymore. She also said we were both adults now, and our relationship would improve. I told her I would never spend another second with him, and that did mean I would skip family holidays and such, because there was no way I would agree to be around Harry again. I told her I blocked him everywhere and didn't care what happened, but nothing would make me share the same airspace as him again. My mom tried to act like we were good, but I pulled away more and started ignoring her calls and stuff. I don't go home for holidays. I refuse to attend anything that Harry's going to be at. I went to see my grandparents last week, and Mom showed up to talk to me. She wanted to know why I was ignoring her and not visiting her and my stepdad. I told her she failed me and put her own wishes before me, my safety, and my childhood, and I wasn't going to wipe it away just because my stepdad was good to me. I told her I despise Harry and I don't care if he grows into an amazing person someday. He will never be my family, and I will never let him back into my life. And I told her I won't start acting like we're okay either, because I am so mad at her. She left really upset, and my grandparents talked to me about stuff. Then my uncle texted me and asked what happened between me and Mom, and he told me I can feel how I do about her not protecting me better, but she's still my mom. He also told me I lose out by refusing to make nice with Harry and be there for family holidays. I told him the holidays I have now are better than all the ones with Harry in them combined. I said I did not feel like I was missing out at all. He said it's so extreme because I have a huge family who loves me and wants to see me. Am I the a-hole? Not the a-hole. Your mom and stepdad were abusive by allowing that to happen. I blame him way less. He could have left too, but my mom was supposed to be putting me and my safety first, but she didn't. My stepdad was an adult and could have probably done more, but Harry was his son, so I expect less. My mom has zero excuse though. Not the a-hole. Your mother is abusive and put her sexual wants before your emotional needs. She repeatedly chose Harry over you. She doesn't deserve a place in your life or your future children's life. She willingly forfeited that over a decade ago. Don't let your uncle guilt you. He did nothing to protect you either. She hasn't earned enough trust to ever be in my future kids' lives. All I know is she'd let them be bullied and expect them to come out loving her and the bully. You need to cut all contact honestly. It's clear she won't ever realize it's her and her husband's fault. Let Harry take care of them when they are older. My mom will be on her own so fast when that time comes. Harry hates her too. He never wanted his dad to marry my mom. I can't even feel bad for her because at least she'll be an adult with some way to plan, unlike me who was just a kid. Next story. Am I the a-hole for not making an effort to improve my relationship with my sister or caring if I get to know her unborn baby? I'm 23 female, the second youngest of 6 kids. It goes Bran, 31 male, Kat, 29 female, Jax, 27 male, Sam, 26 male, me and Leo, 22 male. My relationship with my brothers is solid. I'm closest with Leo and Jax, but have a great relationship with all my brothers, truly. But my relationship with my sister was always difficult, to say the least. Kat has been clear since we were kids that she didn't mind having brothers, but hated having a sister, and she took it out on me. When the rest of us wanted to play together, she'd join in, but ignore me. Whenever we split into teams, she refused to be on mine. If we went anywhere and had to buddy up, she'd cling to one of the boys and refuse to be mine. Our parents used to pay her and Bran extra allowance to take the rest of us to the park, and she'd completely ignore me and would tell Bran I was all his responsibility. Whenever one of our brothers needed help, she'd offer, but if it was me, she'd ignore a request for help. Vacations were so not fun because, as the only girls, we'd share a room and she hated that. Our parents told her she did not get to treat me like some contagious disease and told her to be nice. that we didn't need to be close, but there was zero excuse for making disgusted faces or getting mad at me for existing. Our parents had her in therapy too, and for a brief period, they tried to get us in family therapy with them. Whenever anyone would ask her what her problem was with me, she'd say she never wanted a sister. Bran used to tell her she was being a brat and hurting my feelings, but she told him straight that she didn't give a crap about my feelings. When I was bullied in middle school for not being as pretty as Kat, she actually looked so happy about it. That stuff started when she was like 18 or 19, and I was like 12 or 13. Even now, saying that sounds so weird, but she loved that other people thought she was better looking than me. When she'd come home from college and stuff, she'd ignore me. She brought souvenirs for our parents and brothers, but nothing for me. And come Christmas, she only got them gifts. Come my birthday, she never made the effort to call, send a card or anything, but she made the effort for all our brothers' birthdays and our parents' birthdays. I wasn't invited to her wedding. That turned into a huge fight. I told the rest of our family I wouldn't like to go now anyway. There was a lot of discussion about whether they should go, and I told them it was okay if they did go, and I didn't want them to regret not going on my behalf. They only went for the ceremony, and our parents refused to give her any money toward her wedding. I know they're still glad they went despite the issues. Whenever I see her, I still get the cold shoulder. Only now she's expecting her first kid, and the baby's due in a month. I was invited to her shower, but that wasn't directly from her. I chose not to go, nor send anything. When my parents found out, they told me it was a chance for me to try and improve the relationship so I could at least be in the baby's life. I said I don't need to be in the baby's life, and they said I should want to. I told them that I didn't really, and that was honest. Maybe if Kat and I were a little closer, but I don't see her kid or kids and I ever having much to do with each other. And I could see Kat poisoning them against me. Plus, a one-sided effort is not worth much anyway. My parents think I should try before I give up. They say she's about to grow now that she's becoming a mom. Am I the a-hole? Not the a-hole. Your parents are to blame. It was their job to handle this properly when you were born. They didn't. Kat was allowed to dig her heels in and obsess about this to the degree that it informed her personality to this extent. That's on them. The fact that they are now bullying you into letting her bully you more is disgraceful. Shame on them. I do hope that she doesn't have a daughter that she abuses. I had the same thought. If the kiddo is a boy, she's gonna be a creepy boy mom. And if the kiddo is a girl, that kid is in for a rough ride. Particularly since the kid's other parent clearly has no issue with an abuser as a partner. And at least the maternal grandparents, OP's parents, are willing to let this all slide. No, I can't see any reason for you to try to establish a relationship with your sister, whether it's for the sake of a possible relationship with her or for a relationship with her baby after it is born, or both. It all sounds like potential heartbreak, and you have had enough abuse and neglect from this poor excuse for a woman. You are an adult, and you are free to say no to your parents. Even if you weren't an adult, you'd have the right to stay away from your sister and her baby. There are many women who never grow up, whether they become mothers or not. We know this from hearing about so many narcissistic women who are mothers. I think of how heartbreaking it would be if you developed an attachment to the baby, and your sister continued her nastiness and eventually poisoned the child's mind as well. I think she'd do that too. There's no future where I see myself getting close to her child, and Kat not poisoning the child against me and being in their ear. I could see her encouraging rudeness and all kinds of things toward me. Next story. Am I the a-hole for telling my wife my childhood friend will never forgive her for what she did? My wife, 32 female, and I, 34 male, have been married for 6 years, together for 10. We have a 4-year-old son. A few years ago, my close childhood friend, 34 female, got married. We've been extremely close since we were kids. Both our families were dysfunctional in different ways. At one point, my dad cheated on my mom with her mom. They got married, divorced a year later, and we basically ended up abandoned by both sides. Through all that, we became really close with each other. She even has 2 tattoos that relate to our bond. I would have gotten a tattoo too, but I'm sort of scared of needles. My wife was actually close to my friend too, and never showed signs of being insecure about our friendship until postpartum hit. After our son was born, she really struggled. Her emotions were all over the place, and she became extremely insecure about my relationship with my friend. I was supposed to be man of honor at my friend's wedding, help plan things, and be a big part of the ceremony. But my wife was so anxious and uncomfortable, she begged me not to attend. It made me really sad, but I chose my wife. I told my friend I couldn't go and explained why. She was really hurt by it. Not angry, just really sad, but she said she understood. A couple of months later, my wife fully recovered and apologized, both to me and to my friend. I forgave her. My friend, however, didn't. When my wife reached out to my friend to apologize, my friend was polite but direct. She said she never wanted to speak to her again. She didn't yell or make a scene, she just drew a boundary. Honestly, I get it. It was a once-in-a-lifetime day, and she'd leaned on me for years, and I bailed. I still feel guilty about it. My friend and I still talk regularly. Nothing inappropriate, we're just close, always have been. Recently, my wife asked if there was any chance my friend would forgive her. I told her the truth. No, that ship sailed. My wife got sort of quiet and looked sad, and hasn't brought it up again, but I wonder if I was too blunt. Am I the a-hole for not giving my wife hope and just telling her forgiveness probably isn't happening? Asking out of genuine curiosity. How is this going to work? Is your bestie gonna skip all life milestones and celebrations on your end? Or is it expected that she will be there and your wife is uncomfortable? Is it safe to assume your bestie isn't involved in your child's life? I'm just trying to fully understand the situation. Surprisingly, it doesn't actually change too much. We've always had our own little way of celebrating milestones, just the two of us. For birthdays, promotions, or any personal wins. We usually do something simple but meaningful, like grabbing dinner at our favorite spot, exchanging gifts, or just spending a few hours catching up. That's always been our tradition, even before we had other people in our lives. Obviously, the bigger get-togethers with all four of us, me, my wife, her husband, won't be happening anymore. But those weren't really the core of our friendship. She's not involved in my child's life, and I'm not looking to be involved in her future kid's life either. We actually agreed a while back that keeping our friendship separate from family stuff was the healthiest way to go. Too many complications otherwise. And yeah, my wife and she used to hang out occasionally, but that part of things has naturally ended now. Admittedly, when I first read your reply, I thought you were referring to you and your wife having these intimate ways of celebrating together. Kind of warmed my heart. It was only after reading the replies that I realized you were talking about your friend. Kind of think that speaks for itself. Bro really answered, "How are you going to handle shared celebrations?" with, "Easy, I'll just celebrate without my wife." I know he's probably saying he'll do 2 celebrations, but just the way he phrased that is so funny to me. Last story. Am I the a-hole for refusing to let my roommate's girlfriend move into our apartment without paying rent? So, I, 25 years old, live in a 2-bedroom apartment with my roommate, Jake, 26. We've been friends since college and split rent, utilities, and chores evenly. Our lease is month to month, and we've always had bills paid. The place stays clean, no drama. About 2 months ago, Jake started dating Sarah, 24, and she's been spending a lot of time at our place. Like, a lot. She's here 5 to 6 nights a week, uses our kitchen, bathroom, Netflix, you name it. I didn't mind at first because she's nice enough, and I figured it was just a honeymoon phase. Last week, Jake sat me down and said Sarah's lease is ending soon, and he wants her to move in with us. I was caught off guard but asked how we'd handle rent and bills. He said Sarah's between jobs and can't afford to chip in right now, but she'd help out with chores. Really? I pointed out that we already split chores evenly, and adding a third person means more mess, more utilities, and more strain on our small space. I suggested Sarah pay a third of the rent and utilities once she's employed, but Jake got defensive and said I was being petty and unsupportive. He argued that since she's his girlfriend, it's not like she's a stranger, and I should be cool with it because we're all friends here. Here's my side. I get that Sarah's in a tough spot, and I don't want to seem heartless. I've been unemployed before, and it sucks. But our apartment is tiny. Shared bathroom, small kitchen, thin walls. Having a third person full-time would change the vibe, and I don't think it's fair for me to subsidize her living here. I pay $800 a month for my half of the rent plus utilities, and I budget carefully. If Sarah moves in without contributing, I'm essentially covering part of her costs, which doesn't sit right with me. I also feel like Jake's dismissing my concerns by framing it as me being unfriendly rather than practical. Jake sighed as he explained it. He says Sarah's only temporarily jobless and will make it up later. He thinks I'm overreacting because she's not some random tenant but his girlfriend, and I should trust she won't mooch forever. He also said I'm making a big deal out of nothing, since she's already here most of the time anyway. He pointed out that she's cooked dinner for us a couple of times, so she's contributing in her own way. The conversation ended with Jake saying I'm being unreasonable, and that I'm making Sarah feel unwelcome. Now things are tense, and Sarah's been avoiding me when she's over. I don't want to ruin my friendship with Jake, but I also don't think I should have to pay for someone else to live here. Am I the a-hole for putting my foot down? Now for the top comments. Not the a-hole. Jake is welcome to support his girlfriend by paying her share until she's employed again. This, everything split 3 ways. If he wants to pay 66%, that's on him to decide. Things being split 3 ways doesn't change the fact that OP will be the third wheel in his own space. Practically, OP just has to move out and find a new roommate. It's a huge pain, but there isn't a better option. Not the a-hole. He's been dating her for 2 months, and now he wants her to live with you guys rent-free? Without even an agreement that she pay a third after she find a job? Honestly, still too generous. She may just never get another job. Nope. That's BS and possibly a violation of your lease to have her move in anyway. I feel her moving in fully makes her relax and not getting another job. Don't know if I make any sense, but I feel this will happen. That is exactly what happens. If you let her move in, it's split 3 ways from the start and boyfriend can fund it. Ask your roommate to consider how hard it will be to evict her if the relationship goes south. It's only been 2 months. I can't let it happen. Am I the a-hole for telling my mom that I didn't want to know her after she walked out 14 years ago? The title pretty much tells the outline of the story. I'm a 16-year-old female, and I am living with my dad who has 100% sole custody of me. He has had custody since I was 2. My parents had me when they were quite young. My dad was 18 and mom was 20, and mom couldn't cope with how my existence inconvenienced her education and social life. She wanted to enjoy university, and my existence got in the way of all of that. Therefore, she upped sticks and left my dad to raise me by himself. And my dad is the complete opposite, and has more worth in one of his pinky fingers than her entire existence. He has been both the mother and the father in my life. He has showered me with the love and affection that I needed. He has been strict with me when needed, and has guided me to be the person that I am today. And he has never missed a day or an opportunity to let me know how much he loves me. He is my hero, and I doubt that I will ever love anyone else as much as I do my dad. I am unashamed to admit that I am a daddy's girl. Our life has been very stable, and he has done an amazing job of raising me throughout my childhood and into my teenage years. But now the egg donor, I won't apologize for calling her that because just the thought of calling her mom turns my stomach, is trying to rock the boat. She's contacted me asking if we could meet up because she wants to reconnect with me. She gave a sob story about how she spent years regretting her decision not to be in my life, and how she's now at a point in her life, mentally and financially, where she wants to give me what I am owed from her. She also has 2 other children, 7 and 5, and she is hopeful that I can develop a relationship with my siblings. This is where I feel that I might have been an a-hole. Because in an outburst of sudden anger at suddenly being contacted, I told her to F off, and that nothing she says could convince me to have anything to do with someone who I only consider to be an egg donor and incubator in my life. I thought that I had given up my anger and resentment toward her a long time ago, but it felt like the dam broke as I let out all of that anger and resentment that had built up all those years ago, as I unleashed all of my pent-up feelings toward her. Because the anger that I felt wasn't only for myself and how she abandoned me, I also felt anger for the hurt, pain, and struggles that she caused for my dad. And here she is, trying to reopen those old wounds that both myself and my dad have suffered at her selfish hands. I told her all of that and how I consider myself to be the child of one parent, as the other one has been dead for most of my life. I'm not ashamed to admit that I took some joy in telling her how much of an amazing father and man my dad is, and that both myself and my dad had a lucky escape getting away from someone as narcissistic and toxic as she is. And the only point where I remained somewhat civil was when I told her that I don't want anything to do with her children. Because despite my anger and resentment toward her, those children are blameless and innocent. And if she tries to use them as an emotional weapon against me, or selfishly drags them into all of this, then that would only make me angrier than I already am. I blocked her from all of my socials, though I know that this won't be over anytime soon, and my dad is preparing to lawyer up if she does try to drag this to the courts. But for now, I am going to try and refocus on my GCSE exams and look forward to the upcoming trip away with my dad to celebrate the end of my exams. Now for the top comments. Not the a-hole. She's waited 14 years to contact you, while she's had other kids for what, 7 years? Nah, she could have reached out at any point. The fact that she waited until you're old enough to babysit is suspicious as heck. You owe her nothing. She tried reaching out last year by contacting my dad. He spoke to me at the time about it, asked what I wanted to do, and he respected my decision of not wanting anything to do with her. He gave my response to her, but she's now bypassed him and contacted me directly. Not the a-hole. Your egg donor definitely wants a free babysitter. That was my first thought, but the threat of a lump sum payment of all the back child support she owes should scare her off. It might sound silly, but I wouldn't want the back payment on the child support that she owes. I know that it'll probably sound like mental gymnastics, but I feel that accepting her money would give her a reason to believe that she would now have a say in my life. I've got similar feelings about my absent parent. We're older and, realistically, he'll die sooner rather than later. Supposedly, I'm his heir and will inherit everything when he dies, despite the fact that I haven't spoken to or seen him in legit 40 years. Should I accept it, it's probably not a life-changing amount for what it's worth, and thus make it look like the money makes up for the incredible damage he did, like all is forgiven and fine now? Or do I outright refuse it? Maybe give it to my favorite charities. Frankly, I still bounce back and forth every few months when it comes up. Right at this moment, I lean towards accepting the money and using it to install a toilet on his grave so I can show my appreciation. Anyway, no point to this story other than crap is complicated, and I'm sorry you're going through it. Next story. Am I the a-hole for refusing to raise ex-husband's child? I am not American, and these are not real names for privacy. I am Tori, 35 female, and have a 10-year-old son, Neo, with Jeff, 35 male. We divorced 5 years ago when he had an affair with Rebecca. They have a 4-year-old son, Omar, and Rebecca left them for her home country 2 years ago. She left the kid for good and hasn't contacted them since. My ex, who was always rude before that, has changed his tune since. During custody exchanges, he brings Omar and sometimes asks me to take him, which I have always refused. My son and his half-brother are close and have developed a bond like real brothers, which is fine with me. I don't plan to have any more kids, so it's good he has a sibling from his father's side. But I've also made it clear to my son, through therapy, that I don't want to associate with my ex's family. Last time, he brought Omar fully ready with a bag, and when I said no, the kid said, "Mommy, take me too." I wasn't happy with this and had a huge verbal clash with my ex. I told him to stop brainwashing the poor kid, as I will never be his mother. My ex doubled down and told me that I'm a wonderful mother to Neo and could open my heart. The truth is, I can't. Omar reminds me of their affair. I know he is innocent, but I don't want him at my home. My son knows my boundary. Now my ex-in-laws are asking me to show some compassion and love for the kid, who is faultless, but I don't want to be associated as any motherly figure in his life. They are calling me heartless for not taking the kid with me to my home and other places where I take Neo. They say he is without a mother, but I really don't want to associate with my ex outside of our son. I told them that if I had an affair and a kid with some random man, would they accept the kid? That shut them up. Still, they message me though, calling me names. Not the a-hole. I would call whatever child protective services you have in your country and inform them that this man is attempting to abandon his child and brainwashing the child into believing that you are his mom when you are not. Tell your ex-in-laws that if they want to continue to have a relationship with their grandson, they will shut up about this matter permanently. The next negative word against you and they are cut off from access. They don't care about such small incidents in their book. They only care if kids are unfed, being beaten, or abused. He doesn't leave the kid alone with me to call them off. I really don't want to stop my son's access to his grandparents, as they love him and vice versa. And even if I do, his father's house is next to them and during his week, they will have access to him. Not the a-hole. You don't have to raise someone else's kid. Block your ex-in-laws and move on. My son loves his grandparents, and that's why I was cordial with them. But they are expecting too much, and I can't fulfill that. Stand your ground. Your ex has some damn nerve trying to push his kid off on you. Why can't his family take him? Don't allow them to guilt or manipulate you. Your ex's issues with his son are not your responsibility. As long as your son knows your boundaries, that's all that matters. And then to allow his son to call you mom? What? Next story. Am I the a-hole for not wanting a relationship with my mom's family after they cut her out and chose my dad's side in the divorce? I, 24 male, have a complicated family situation stemming from my parents' divorce when I was 10. The background: 3 years before the divorce, my parents adopted my brother, now 22, from Russia. After bringing him home, he began to exhibit severe behavioral issues, attacking me, stealing, breaking things, screaming, and lying. He ended up getting diagnosed with several conditions, including fetal alcohol syndrome and reactive attachment disorder. The main issue was that these behaviors were only ever witnessed by my mom and me. My dad worked nights and slept during the day, so he wasn't around much. My brother was incredibly manipulative and, of course, acted like an angel whenever my dad or others were around. Meanwhile, back home, things had gotten so bad that my mom and I had to lock our doors at night because we feared he might attack us in our sleep, which my dad dismissed as an overreaction. When my mom tried talking to her family about these issues and how they were affecting things at home, they accused her of exaggerating and making things up to make my dad look bad. Even when I tried backing up my mom's stories, I was dismissed as not understanding because I was just a kid. After the divorce, my mom's family completely cut her out while continuing to include my dad in all family events. My mom won full custody of me, and my dad got my brother. I had little to no contact with my dad and zero contact with that side of the family for 5 years. It didn't take long after the divorce for my dad and everyone else to see the reality of who my brother was. However, the damage had already been done. My dad did eventually apologize years down the road to my mom and me. When I started seeing my dad again in high school, I was reintroduced to my mom's family, but these interactions were always uncomfortable, especially being there with my dad. Her family to this day have never once brought the situation up or apologized. I don't know if that's because of shame or if they think it just never happened as long as no one talks about it. My grandparents did slightly reconnect with my mom after her breast cancer diagnosis back in 2021, but her siblings have still never reached out. Just last week, my mom's uncle, my grandma's brother, passed away, and when she reached out about funeral details, they completely ignored her. However, my dad and his new wife continued to be fully included. My grandparents even attended their wedding 2 years ago. Recently, my dad has been pressuring me more and more to have a closer relationship with my mom's family, giving lectures about the importance of family and guilt-tripping me for not prioritizing them. I feel like I'd be betraying my mom by having a relationship with them while they continue to keep her in the dark but fully embrace my dad and his new wife. Am I the a-hole for staying distant from them? Edit. Added more context to what happened to my brother after the divorce. There is a lot that can be said about this situation and about my brother, but I wanted to make sure I got to the point of this post. If anything is still confusing, feel free to comment and I'll do my best to provide clarity. Info. So what happened to your brother? Did he go with dad? Still with dad? I know not what you are asking, but this seems a big hole. Like, why did her family side with him? The brother is too significant of a plot point to just not be mentioned again. Sorry, I guess I could have made it clearer, but essentially they sided with my dad and brother because they never saw my brother act out. He was always a sweet little angel in their eyes. So when my mom came to them with what was really happening at home, they couldn't believe it. There is a lot to this story, but I tried to keep it concise so it wouldn't be too long. So if you have more questions, I can certainly help answer them. Why not start by answering the question asked, what happened to the brother? He went and lived with my dad. My mom wanted nothing to do with him after they divorced. It didn't take long that my brother's behaviors came to light, but at that point, the damage was done. Years down the road, my dad did eventually apologize to both my mom and I for not believing us. However, her family is either too stubborn or too ashamed to say anything about it. My brother continued to live with my dad, even past turning 18, as my dad claimed guardianship over him. This could be a whole another post. But my brother now lives on his own, granted with a couple of caseworkers that are checking in on him frequently. Not the a-hole. Russian adoptions going bad is a very common thing. Shame on your mom's family for not supporting her. I'm glad she got you out safely. Last story. Am I the a-hole for telling my daughter-in-law she is not a mother? I'm 64 female, have 3 kids, and they are all married. This post is about my son and his wife Jenny. Jenny struggles with infertility and has no children. My other son, his wife is expecting next month, and my daughter recently had her own child, a grandson. Everyone was busy for Mother's Day and couldn't meet up with me for the holiday. That's fine, they are starting their own families. I thought it would be nice to send my expecting daughter-in-law and son and my daughter a Mother's Day basket. Jenny always made comments that her 2 dogs are the first grandkids. I always thought it was a joke. She is big on being a dog mom. My daughter posted a picture in the group chat of everything she got for Mother's Day and included the basket. My other daughter-in-law also thanked me for her basket in the chat. Jenny called me soon after and asked where her basket was. I was confused and asked what she meant. I thought she was pregnant and was just telling me now. She clarified that since I have 2 grandkids by her already and said her dogs' names, she should have received one too. I was even more confused, and she clarified that she is her dog's mother and should have gotten a basket. I told her she is not a mother. Mother's Day is for women who raise human children, not pet owners. She got really upset and cursed me out for not getting her a basket and said that she's a parent. My son is telling me to apologize and to send a Mother's Day basket over. He is calling me a jerk for not sending her a basket and for telling her she is a pet owner. So did your son give his wife a nice Mother's Day gift? I didn't ask. I don't know. That didn't even cross my mind. There were no pictures sent in a group chat from them and nothing was mentioned on the call. Not the a-hole. I understand that her infertility might be hard for her and she loves her dogs. But at the end of the day, it really doesn't make her a mother. While people may love their pets, I love my dog. The reality is, they aren't children. Yeah, I tried to say that as nice as possible. It didn't go well. On the bright side, you probably won't have to tactfully excuse yourself from the dog's birthday party this year. Or make excuses for not attending parties of any children resulting from fertility treatments, because Granny won't be invited. Sometimes one wins a battle but loses the war. Not sending the basket wasn't the issue. Saying her daughter-in-law is not a mother because she's not raising humans might have been the harsh line crossed for someone dealing with infertility. As a 40-year-old with no children, by choice, and 3 cats, I would never expect someone to acknowledge me on Mother's Day. I kind of would be a little weirded out if they did. I consider my cats my babies, but that's a personal thing that I would never expect anyone else to acknowledge or honor. My only thought is maybe the infertility thing is really affecting her emotionally, and it's manifesting itself in this odd way. It would be the infertility. I have children now, but I struggled with infertility. Things like seeing pregnant people and Mother's Day were really difficult at that time. Being in a couple of kid support groups, I've seen it manifest in ways you wouldn't expect, like people treating reborn dolls like real children.